If a breeder will not send the parents' OFA numbers before your deposit, stop. That one move filters out a huge amount of polished nonsense asked. I only learned how hard this matters after talking to one of my closest friends, someone who has raised over 200 golden retriever litters across 20 years, because some of the green flags buyers trust made him cringe. The breeder most likely to fool you usually is not the obvious puppy mill with blurry photos and bad grammar. It is the one that looks responsible, sounds warm, and still skips the decisions that affect your dog years later. I'm going to show you the fake green flags first, then the 2-minute paperwork check, then the one message that makes good breeders relax and bad breeders get weird. Getting this wrong does not end at puppy pickup. It follows you into vet bills, training problems, limping on walks, a dog that cannot settle in your house, and in a breed where roughly 1 in 2 dogs will face cancer in their lifetime, the puppy looked healthy is not a plan. The breeder who worries me most is not the dirty one, it's the polished one. Before Nessie, I overweighted Vibe. I was at my kitchen table late at night, laptop open, tea going cold beside the trackpad, Nessie asleep on the tile by my feet, and a breeder's site with soft lighting, clean fonts, and sleepy puppy photos would lower my guard before I had checked a single document. Friendly emails did the same thing. A warm phone call did the same thing. Pretty does not mean planned. Someone who has raised over 200 litters told me irresponsible breeders learned buyer language a long time ago. Golden English, blocky heads, family raised, vet checked, limited puppies available. Those phrases can be true and still tell you almost nothing about whether the breeder made disciplined long-term decisions on health, structure, temperament, and placement. They tell you sales angle. They do not tell you breeding standard. That is also why high price and a wait list do not calm me down by themselves. Good breeders often are expensive. Good breeders often do have a wait list. Bad breeders figured out years ago that scarcity sells too. One red flag does not convict anybody. One green flag does not clear anybody. Patterns matter. But polished is easy to fake. And health tested is probably the most abused phrase in golden retriever breeding. On a website, it can mean a DNA panel, a routine vet exam, one parent with partial testing, or puppies that were checked over once before going home. Buyers read that phrase as proof. Sellers use it as fog. AKC registration tells you the dog is purebred. It does not tell you the breeding was responsible. A DNA panel matters for specific inherited conditions, and a vet check matters for whether a puppy looked normal that day. But neither one replaces breed-relevant clearances on the parents. For Goldens, the baseline categories are hips, elbows, heart, and eyes. When those 4 are not verifiable, the phrase health tested is usually marketing wearing a lab coat. The check itself is simple. Ask for the registered names of the sire and dam or direct OFA links, open the OFA database, and verify that those exact dogs exist in public with those exact clearances attached to those exact names. That step matters because screenshots can be cropped, websites can be vague, and a breeder can talk around a missing result for a long time if you never force the information into public record. Age tells a story too. If a parent dog is under 2 years old, final OFA hip and elbow clearances are not available yet. That is a hard limit, not a judgment call. Someone who has raised over 200 litters told me buyers miss this all the time because the parents look gorgeous and the breeder sounds confident. Confidence does not age a dog faster. Some breeders lean on a health guarantee to cover that gap, but a 1-year guarantee sounds safer than it is. Golden retriever problems do not read your contract. A short guarantee can expire before the stuff buyers fear most ever shows up, and it can still sound reassuring on puppy day because paperwork feels solid when a fluffy 8-week-old is in front of you. But even real documents do not tell you whether the litter was well planned, and this was the part that made my stomach drop. A bad breeder can show you papers, a clean home, and 2 beautiful dogs. A clean puppy room proves they cleaned the puppy room. It does not prove the last 5 breeding decisions were good ones. Fresh blankets, organized crates, healthy-looking puppies, and a tidy setup are all good to see, but they only prove the environment can be presented well in that moment. They do not tell you whether the breeder has been disciplined over years. Not meeting the sire in person is often normal. Outside stud use is common in responsible breeding, especially when a breeder is trying to improve a line instead of just breeding the dog they already own. The red flag is not failing to shake hands with the sire. The red flag is not being able to verify him at all. The stronger signal is breeding logic. Someone who has raised over 200 litters told me good breeders can explain why this pairing was made, what they hope to improve, what they were trying not to double up on, what previous litters from those lines were like, and what health outcomes they have tracked over time. They can also describe a real socialization plan: handling, surfaces, novel objects, sound exposure, crate introduction, car rides, recovery after mild stress. Cute videos do not replace a protocol. That means you stop watching the puppies for a minute and start watching how the breeder handles you. One of the biggest green flags feels annoying. Good breeders ask you a lot of questions. I used to read that as inconvenient. Someone who has raised over 200 litters told me that discomfort is part of the point. Ethical breeders screen hard because they are trying to control where the dog ends up for the next decade. They ask about your work schedule, home setup, activity level, kids, grooming tolerance, training plans, travel, fencing, and how many hours the puppy will be alone. A breeder who barely asks anything is acting like a seller, not a gatekeeper. The strongest version of that gatekeeper mindset is a lifetime take-back clause. A responsible breeder plans for divorce, illness, relocation, job loss, behavior mismatch, and old age, because the dog remains their responsibility long after puppy day. That clause protects the dog more than the buyer, and that is exactly why it matters. It proves the breeder is thinking in years, not weekends. But sellers use urgency instead of standards. Someone else is interested. Only 1 male left. Deposit today. I have seen buyers get rushed by those lines before they ever saw a registered name or an OFA link. A puppy being available right now is not automatically a red flag. Life happens. Timing happens. A repeated sales pattern is the red flag. Scarcity can signal quality, and bad breeders learned a long time ago that scarcity also sells. But there is one customer-friendly thing buyers love that can mean nobody is protecting the dog's fit. It is total puppy choice.
At 8 weeks, the breeder knows that litter better than you do. They have watched who startles fast, who recovers fast, who bulldozes siblings, who hangs back, who melts into handling, who stays amped after stimulation, and who settles well after excitement. Good breeders do some version of temperament evaluation, formal or informal, because the goal is not to let the buyer win a popularity contest. The goal is to make the next 12 years easier. I remember sitting on the living room rug with Nessie when she was young, one tennis ball wedged under the couch and that dusty dog smell still in the room from a rainy walk, and realizing that the traits that make daily life easy are almost never the traits buyers notice in a 10-minute visit. The puppy that barrels straight into your lap can look confident. The puppy that pauses and reads the room can be the steadier dog. The one that looks sleepy during a visit can be overwhelmed, not calm. Cute first impressions age fast. Temperament stays. Good breeders create friction. Sellers remove it. The wait list, the questions, the documentation, the boundaries, the breeder matching the puppy instead of treating the litter like a vending machine. Those things feel inconvenient when you are thinking like a shopper. They feel protective when you are thinking about the next 12 years. That one line reorganized the whole topic for me because it explained why the safest breeder often feels less customer-friendly on puppy day. That is why one message exposes most of the people faking it.
Send it before any deposit. Write this exactly. Hi, before I place a deposit, please send me the registered names or OFA links for the sire and dam, confirm hips, elbows, heart, and eye clearances, tell me how you match puppies to homes, and let me know whether you take a dog back at any age if the home does not work out. A strong response is fast, specific, and documented. You get registered names, links, dates, and direct answers. Good breeders usually relax when you ask for this because you are speaking their language and taking the decision seriously. A weak response gets vague fast. Our vet checked them. The parents are healthy. We've never had issues. The puppies are raised in our home. Those lines may sound warm, but they do not answer what you asked. One weak answer may need a follow-up. 3 vague answers is a pattern. No OFA links, no registered names, defensive tone, pressure to deposit. Walk. If a health guarantee ends at 12 months, it expires before a golden retriever is even old enough for final OFA HIP certification. Open your Notes app, paste that message, and send it to every breeder on your list before you send $1. Ask for links. Verify the clearances. Ask how puppies are matched. Ask about lifetime takeback. 3 vague answers means walk. The weird part is that finding a good breeder does not save you from the next mistake because most people still choose the wrong puppy from the right litter. Nessie made me realize the temperament signs buyers call calm and confident are often backwards, and once you see that, puppy visits look completely different. Next, I'm showing the one breeder record that tells you more than any puppy day sales pitch ever will. And once you know how to read it, a lot of breeder promises start sounding very different. In the comments, share the one claim your breeder made about your golden that you would verify differently now. Subscribe if you want the stuff most golden channels never get access to, because I'm pulling this straight from the breeder I work with after 20 plus years and more than 200 litters.